Welcome to Sky Notes. This week, we're giving you a sneak peek into the astrology that's coming up. April 2026 ushers in some important shifts we think you'll want to hear about. Plus, we pulled oracle cards for each sun sign, and the correspondences were uncanny. So grab a beverage and settle in while we check our Sky Notes. Welcome to Sky Notes. So, can you believe it is? I can't believe it's the end of March.
Me either.
Where did it go?
Yeah, I don't know. Poof.
And I mean, this ridiculousness, we said Jupiter's going to go direct and it's going to feel like time flies.
Yeah.
And here we are. Time flew. March just blip of an eye. So first, before we talk about April, the astrology of April, which is our topic today, we need to mention that we have exciting shifts coming on the 30th of March, soon, a few days. Venus is finally going to go into Taurus.
Isn't that good?
We need the grounding. We need the, it's been just talking to people. People are frazzled. They're overstimulated. They're everything's over.
Yeah.
Over everything.
Yeah.
I feel like once Venus lands comfortably in her sign of the Earth, Taurus, I feel like that'll be a pretty dramatic shift. What do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really have felt the warrior nature of Venus, in Aries, and not always in a super positive way. It's really hard, right? It's the proof in the pudding when you eat that angry woman energy, which I love and I welcome and I support.
Right.
Oh, that's not a good diet all on its own. And you're trying to create a through line to happy woman, happy Venus, happy, beautiful. So I loved when the courageous became courageous, right? The female became bold. The things started happening. So anyway.
I just think it's an overabundance of Aries energy.
Yeah.
With not a lot centering us or grounding us. And I love Venus and Aries. It's one of my favorite places for her in a natal chart for sure.
Yeah.
But we just need something to ground us and help us feel a little less in a race. That's how I've been feeling, is like I'm running a race.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll be happy for things to kind of slow down energetically a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Although we have other things that are going to keep things moving along. So let's jump into this.
Sounds good.
So the first thing up is the full moon on the 1st.
And that's something we just wander right on into the harvest.
So we come into the month just on fire, right? That it's like so close to being full. That give us energy is intense.
Yeah.
And again, it's that feeling like we have to get somewhere before the shift changes, right?
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And it's interesting because the moon at the time of April 1st, starting, the moon is at 0 Libra. So it definitely has this freshness and new beginning energy to it, which I think people really liked with the last new moon. I think that feeling like we were going to get to start something over was welcome. Yeah. Yes. Would you say so?
I think that's true. And I have to say, because it's bouncing off the container of the year, this massive change, the smaller versions are kind of like, okay, good, I can handle this. I think that's exactly right. That it could be that bouncing off the wall, but it's not asking for you to give up your standing, right? Like, it's really important to, be your full Libra, allow a glory to exist in you, whether you're, amenable to Libra or feel tension with Libra. Libra is really good at knowing what it's good at,
Yeah. Well, and I feel like it's kind of like a little reminder that there's going to be so much that Aries energy is going to intensify in some ways.
I like that.
And so that Libra moon is there to say, let's remember to be diplomatic. Let's remember to listen and to hear the other side, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we're coming off of a really brutal Mercury retrograde.
Yeah. Yeah.
honest to God. And that the continuance of the Mercury and Pisces being confusing and making it's hard to get your message across. And I'm misunderstanding people.
Right.
So the Aries energy makes us impatient and maybe a bit aggressive and combative.
Mhm.
So that Libra moon there at the very beginning is like, okay, so let's remember we need to all live together. We need to compromise and we need to be a bit diplomatic moving forward.
I
One
love
of the,
it.
yeah, one of the things that I noticed, something that you were saying made me think of that feistiness of Venus that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Being online and reading people's discussions and astrology threads it's an interesting place to visit.
Mhm.
But I see so many comments about, God, I just hate astrologers who blah blah blah, and I just can't believe how judgy they are.
Whoops.
So I'm hoping that the as things start to move out of Pisces, that we sort of start noticing our own what's
Well,
the
I
word?
was going to say that
Hypocrisy.
yeah, the interior portion of that Libra moon, there's, I keep thinking of the words stress tolerance. Do you know what I mean? And so I was going to say, I I read that if you have ADHD, you may have low muscle tone. And there are certain disabilities that come with low muscle tone. And that is exactly all you need for the magic of catching yourself on every door in your home. So the dress I'm wearing has a sash. With Aries being so prevalent, I try not to, I try to increase my distress tolerance if my sash gets caught on the door, which it's gonna. You know what I mean? I'm going to spin around the door like I'm playing some kind of superhero. And then it's going to get caught on the door and I'm going to go, and then I'm going to go, slow down. So it's a funny
Yeah.
thing. That's me, right?
Right.
Interior dealing with that stuff. And then what I find with the exterior is my scrolling is humorous and short. The humorous part is I go, I'm not getting involved in that. I'm not going to look at that. There's no way I want to see about that. I do sometimes, I will say, yearn to have enough mental space to understand what's going on in Alberta, because there was somebody who posted something recently. Oh my gosh, I was like, oh, there's some, I bet that's tasty. What is going on in there? And I was like, I can't.
Yeah. Well, and that is actually one of the gifts of all the Aries energy is
Right.
that we don't have the patience
Right.
to go down those big rabbit holes. So that's, I mean, sometimes impatience can be a gift because it doesn't
Absolutely.
have that tenacity to be like, I'm just going to go find out everything I want to find out about this. So
Yeah.
I think that on the other side of my comment is a lot of people like you and I are like, nope, nope.
Oh yeah.
Nope.
No.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that is going to happen too is we've got the stuff that's going to slip into Aries because we still have some Aries
So,
action
yeah.
they're gonna have to talk to Neptune again. So we still have this moving through Neptune to kind of dilute some of that Aries energy.
And we talked about that as when Saturn and Neptune were conjunct in Pisces. I kept talking about it as like the last few inches of the coffee pot where there are grounds and maybe you don't want to pour that one out. And then that influence that continued. And then as the planets touch into the sign of Aries, they're going to mimic that again. But to your point, not drunk.
Right.
I'm going to cross my eyes now just to get ahead of everybody.
Yeah. Well, and so we get that full moon on the 1st. And it's interesting because right away the energy is quite intense. Like the weekend of the 3rd is what do I have here? Venus is going to square Pluto.
Yeah.
Mercury is going to trine Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sun is going to square Jupiter on the 5th. So that's a really active weekend and it's all cardinal and fixed energy. And what I find when we have that, the cardinal and the fixed is activated like that, we can tend to feel like we're spinning in place.
Right.
Because the fixed energy doesn't want to move and the cardinal does. And so it'll be interesting. I think that next weekend, the overall feeling might be a little bit overwhelmed and not feeling
Yeah.
like you can do the things you want about it right off the bat.
Yeah.
But I really love the Mercury trine Jupiter because I feel like there's some remedy in there from everything that we've gone through with Mercury so far, you know?
I was just thinking about one of the ways I learned about Aries and Taurus was that they were, especially Taurus, pre-verbal. And so there wasn't really an analytical filter for the experiences.
Right.
And one of the things that has been an adjunct of what you're talking about with the Mercury retrograde in Pisces, I feel like this is the first time I've talked to somebody in a week, and that is not true at all. But it's case in point, the Mercury in Pisces and the pre-verbal feeling of the spring, which I'll have to check and see if I've felt this before. I haven't been able to hold on to words at all.
No.
And I can do the analytical filter, but it doesn't necessarily connect back to another thing, something to capture it.
Yes. The loss of words has been extremely interesting. And I think I described that to you when we had our meeting this week, that the ideas and the visuals that I get are just beautiful and wild and fantastic.
Yeah.
But I can't get them out of my mouth. Like I just can't find adequate words. And it's interesting because I say that to people who have Mercury and Pisces in their natal chart. Like that's something that I talk to them about. This is the first time in a long life so far that I've really noticed that for myself, that I'm really not being able to connect and really enjoying the inspiring and the visual. Like it's beautiful, but so frustrated that I can't get it out of my mouth or even written in the way that I'm seeing it in my head. You know?
Yeah, I can't write it. I can draw it. And then I noticed I was like rabbit holing on vocal analysis and singing and getting up and singing and kind of stomping around the studio and, letting things process that way. So that seems to fit the nonverbal part, right?
Right. Oh, that's very Mercury and Pisces too,
right.
Is communicating through music.
Beautiful.
For sure. Yeah, that is lovely. Yeah. But I feel like when we get the trine between Mercury and Jupiter, there's some kind of rectification around messaging. There's some kind of correction, right? That's the positive side of it. The thing that we need to pay attention to is that there can be somebody spin will be very easy when Mercury and Pisces is having a beautiful relationship with Jupiter and Cancer.
That is so interesting. Do you think, we talked before March started about the illusory quality of things. Did you ever think it would go so far as it's gone today, where, the Pentagon was like, let us kill people with AI. Let us just do that. And AI is like, no, yes, no, yes. And then on another note, the social media for all of the government for the first time ever is like a 13-year-old boy's wet dream of being on social media. It's all AI. It's all garbage. It's all like, look at me, I'm the tough guy. And it makes no sense. And so it becomes, I'm not going to say difficult or the first time it's ever happened, but we have to go back to the pre-internet time, those of us who were there, and talk about how we did research then and how we would get get information that was valuable and helpful, because there's something getting lost in the joy around all of the snarkiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how that gets worked on. Once we have this, first of all, the aspect to Jupiter, but then also once Mercury changes signs this month, because that's going to happen too. And then we have on the 9th, Mars is going to move into Aries. And what Lillian and I talked about beforehand was all of these planets in Aries have been ruled by a Mars in Pisces, which is kind of drunk. But really, if we're not joking about it, Mars in Pisces runs on intuition. And so what's fascinating to me is, though, all the cards that you and I have pulled and all the messages that we've gotten have almost always said, look at your intuition, touch into your intuition.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting that that's really come through over and over and over again for us. But now Mars is going to go into Aries, which is its sign, and it's going to be in charge of all these Aries planets. And it's going to feel like, my interpretation of it is that it's going to feel easier to figure out what that direction is that we're supposed to be doing, or what that action is that we're supposed to be taking. You know,
and we were talking about a little zhuzh, a little courage.
For sure. Some physical activity, like the desire to get the blood pumping, you know, there definitely an increase in energy for sure. Once it passes Neptune, because it's going to,
and that's the next Monday, right? So we're like mid-month.
Yeah. That weekend on the 11th and the 12th, Mars is going to cozy up to Neptune.
Yeah.
And I wrote it down here as that's like Mars's rite of passage. Right. It's like it's gotta touch into its spiritual meaning and its higher resonance before it actually gets to go inhabit its sign.
So I would be tempted to say that could be accomplished through an Easter egg hunt. Like, let's say you're gathering, right? The moon's in Aquarius. It'll be fun for groups. You've got that Mars coming in, kind of like you said, cleaning up the rabbit holes or tangents, you know, and you got a bunch of kids, right? And so it's perfect for that kind of Easter hunt or Easter gathering or something like that.
The Good Friday is April 3rd. So that weekend is going to be
with the Venus square Pluto.
Yes. Yeah. Easter weekend is that really dynamic weekend with Venus square Pluto and Mercury trine Jupiter. Mercury trine Jupiter is nice. That's lovely. That'll
like pageants, right? Like I'm starting to see the, you know, those folks who do the pageants for the Easter thing or a program. Like, I hate to say it, didn't Arrested Development try to do that with the paintings? And they did Leonardo's God and Adam.
Yeah. But interestingly enough, we're going to go back to that weekend, just because with the Venus square Pluto, there's some interesting room for healing in that. Yeah, for sure. The Venus and Pluto, especially Venus in her own sign, there's some really beautiful earth healing in there, you know, like
simple. You don't have to talk about
it. Yeah. And sort of digging at the potential to dig up human flaw and look at it. And
the meat suits are riddled with flaws. We know this.
Yeah. It's what makes us lovely.
It is. There has to be something to pull us in. And I think it is all the errors.
Yeah.
Annoyingly enough.
But the food will be great that weekend. Venus and Taurus, the potential for a fantastic meal. I think, I think it's a good weekend. So now that we know when Easter is, it's going to be a busy weekend for people for sure. So it's not until the next weekend that we get that Mars conjunct Neptune, which is good. I mean, that would be interesting for a religious celebration, the Mars and the Neptune.
Well, I mean, it's all of a piece. You know, when I said that, my notions of Easter, I think about the first time I went through a garden of the Lord's, which is the 13 stations of Christ, which, you know, I was in my teens, but I didn't have that in my head. And it's his whole crucifixion. So I left sobbing, a little too sensitive to the notes of abuse. And so I left and I was like, what's going on? And so it's one of the heavier messages, right? Even though we've got the bunnies and the kids and the candy and stuff, it still includes our confrontation with spiritual authenticity. How we really didn't like it the last time.
Right. Yes, good point. So we've got Mars's rite of passage with Neptune on that next weekend. And then right after that on the Tuesday, Mercury goes into Aries. But in between, we have a really beautiful Venus and Taurus sextile Jupiter and Cancer.
Oh, yeah.
So if anybody has anything important that they need really good energy around, the 13th would be a great day, because we've got some really nice energy that day for sure. Especially if it's stuff, because it's happening before the new moon. That's actually probably right as the balsamic phase starts.
Like that.
If there are things that you want to close gently, that would be the time to do it. Yeah. I think that's lovely. And then the very next day, Mercury finally leaves our water-soaked Pisces and moves into Aries. And so that's when, I mean, have you found yourself really like mentally active at this time?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I wanted to ask just because I know all this stuff is hitting my Mercury. So I know that's one of the reasons why my head's really busy, but I didn't know if that was happening for everybody else too.
I just happened to bring my synastry. So my Mercury is trine Mars and Jupiter right now.
Okay. Well, and so my point in asking that was I don't think that's going to slow down when Mercury moves into Aries. I think that it tends to fire tends to make the brain busier. The thing is that with Mars there as well, we'll know what to do about it. The ability to take action will be a lot easier, a lot more straightforward, and a lot clearer.
Yeah.
But impatience and harsh words, a little bit easier to slip out of our mouths when Mars is in Aries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be gentle with yourself if you get caught on doors.
If you get caught on doors, if you hit your hands on everything like I do.
If you start doing freak accidents, like
Yeah.
the way I set things up is always to do the most elaborate accident.
Now, that's a really good point because Uranus is a troublemaker in that way, and it's going to be sitting at 29 degrees this whole time. So it's going to be a brat because this month is its last moment in Taurus until it finally, for the next 7 years, moves into Gemini later in the month. So that the chance for tripping, hurting yourself, little things,
it's right there.
Try to be mindful because it's tricky for sure. Yeah. For sure. I'm glad you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And then on the sun is going to leave Aries, but before it does, it talks to Chiron. And this is actually the last time for another 50 years before they make this aspect. So I thought it was worth mentioning just because it's not going to happen again for a really long time.
Right.
And so it's like this final look at those Chiron and Aries challenges. Mm-hmm. And I feel like one of the things that we've been dealing with while Chiron has been in Aries is the difference between being independent versus being alone. Mm-hmm. My needs are more important than everybody else's needs.
Right.
Totally. Taking action for the sake of taking action rather than taking action to heal or help.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we've been navigating. And so the sun is going to come in and have one last chat.
Yeah.
With Chiron. And
how'd you like that? What hurt about that? What worked about that?
Yeah. And how do you feel? Because to me, the sun in Aries, there's a really big piece in there around trying to understand what your healthy ego looks like.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, so how can we recover the healthy part of your ego? Because I really feel like everybody's kind of gotten their ego punched around a lot while Chiron has been in Aries.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Nobody tells you the ego is also a space capsule that's going to get bombarded by meteors throughout your whole life. And you're not supposed to get freaked out when like a fin falls off or, you lose something.
Exactly.
It's a treacherous journey, y'all.
Yeah. And so on the 16th, when the sun it's only going to last a day, there might be either an insight, a pang of awareness, or maybe just a moment of sort of, maybe it's a little sadness. Maybe it's a little mourning for that little Aries piece, so just sort of keep that in mind if you're feeling a little low that day.
I really like that. That's a really good observation.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And it's perfect timing because it's just before we hit the last new moon in Aries.
Right.
And Chiron is part of that story. So it's not the sun and Aries piece is the day before, but we can actually set intentions and do things around that with that new moon the next day. Right. Mm-hmm. So there's some beautiful energy to work with that if it's something that we feel needs to be addressed.
I was just thinking about that grounding. And, I got to tell you guys, I'm really distracted because this month's calendar has all kinds of little pictures of what's going to grow well this month. And I haven't been able to stop talking about it. And it has nothing to do with our show. But we were talking about how on that 19th, when the sun moves into Taurus, there's a sense of dryness. And I was looking at that conjunction with the Mars and the Saturn in Aries, thinking it's not just dry, it's dry and barren. And as that moves up to this, or no, that's after this. So let me reframe that because the thought I was having around the sun conjunct Chiron was maturation, and the process of maturation is one where you digest you reflect and you integrate what you learned from the conflicts or tensions in your life. That's what I think, my 2 cents. And the Saturn or the Chiron with the sun is going to, like you said, give you an opportunity to either pick up stuff you've digested along the way or see the things that are still sort of an obstacle. And that's, I mean, that's standard for everybody, but what an insight. And yeah, be gentle with yourself during that process.
Yeah. Thank you. You repeated that back really beautifully. And I think that, to pay attention to the new moon. So the new moon is on the 17th, Friday the 17th.
Yeah.
And it's at 2728 Aries.
Mm.
And we have 6 planets and Chiron in Aries in that chart.
Right.
And it's not, so we're still working in that Aries piece of the zodiac. It's going to start to separate now with the sun moving into Taurus, but we're still looking at the Aries piece of us. And I know from talking to people, I don't know if you've had the same experience, but life feels pretty lopsided when everything is in one place. Like I feel like I'm only ever doing the one thing, which is work right now.
Right. It's work for me too. However, I think of it as a sneaker in the washing machine.
Explain that.
Oh, I love that. Right?
Yeah.
It's really disruptive. And you're still going to have clean shoes at the end of it, but like, whoa, that's difficult. And I know for in my home, there's a sense of we're going to let each other have as much space as we need because it is like that. Like, I'll say this before we got online, my husband came over and was talking to me about his job. And before he finished, I said, did you need me to listen to that or hear it? And he went, nope. And we do that all the time because we'll come back to it. You know what I mean? So there's no fear that we're going to lose it. Not recommended for everybody. Mileage would vary, but that's one of the things, right? Is there is so much going on. You need safe places to kind of off gas and have a laugh or relax around this really tense information. If it is for you.
And it's interesting because when we get these pileups, it's a great example of what's the word that I want? So when you have an opposition, there's the deflection side as well.
Right.
Well, polarization, yes, but also the projection. Right?
Yeah.
So for some people, they're doing everything in the one area of their life and engrossed. And I mean, I'm okay with the fact that's the only thing I'm working on.
Oh, yeah. I love it. Yeah.
Or there's the opposite effect where there's the avoidance of the area of life that's so packed with energy. And so to me, in thinking about this in the context of how we've been speaking, that sun conjunct Chiron and the new moon also is, for some people, might be the opportunity to look at the Aries things they've been ignoring this whole time.
Nice.
So just if there's something that you've been avoiding, just know that you might not get to for this little chunk of April. Where it's like, no, you need to address that before all this energy moves off. Yeah. So that could be another way that that plays out.
I like that. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a confrontation. I like the idea of, for some reason, the image of like a corsetier came to mind. Like if you go to a tailor and they fit you with something that the structure of it makes you look so good. That's the vibe I'm getting from this Mars in Aries. It's saying, hey, let's clean this up. Go, but in that nice shop way.
Yes. And I mean, whenever something comes in contact with the sun in Aries, there is a purification feeling of that, right? So I like that. I think that is definitely something that could be a marker for some people. So that whole weekend, because we've got the new moon on the Friday, and then by Sunday, the sun moves into Taurus. And also at the same time, Mercury starts to move in to conjunct Saturn and Mars. So that'll be a very interesting. That's perfecting on the 20th, which is the Monday. And when we look back at the things that we've talked about, when it comes to messaging and things that we're seeing online and that kind of thing, that to me is somebody's getting a spanking.
Yeah.
You have Mercury, which is the messaging, Saturn, which is the disciplinarian. and Mars, which likes to punish.
Right.
So that to me, somebody gets in trouble for what they've said on that day.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I like to think of all of the energies as holding potential in all directions. But the very first thing I saw was that Venus that I was the image I saw was of Venus crawling up a volcano, and she's got something in her mouth, and then like it's a caveman thing. And so she's dangerous, right? Because everybody had to do the work then. And then she's also a woman. And then she gets words. Oh shit. And then she gets in charge of rules. So I had all of that come up. And the way that I think about it positively is you're practicing what you need to say. You're practicing what it is you intend to say, which is what the Saturn brings. Mars in its own sign has a desire to be have quality to the work that it puts out. And the Mercury in Aries has, like you said, the ability to not rabbit hole. Good luck if you can pull all that off. Probably you're going to be fighting with someone or some other version of that. So yeah, I see what you're saying.
I could also see it like even just from a personal point of view, if your messaging is off, right? Like somebody will let you know. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a punishment. It's just you're going to get the opportunity to rectify the situation, right? And before you react, stop and think, has somebody done you a favor, even if they were an asshole about it?
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
Or what it feels like has been really successful in March in particular was really taking a lot more breaks than you think you should, but smaller ones. Like it can be a walk around your house or get up, get back down so that you get perspective.
Right.
And so that you can have this processing that takes a little bit of time. And then you have something else. You're looking at how your responses are surfacing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to continue on with that thought, because we were talking about how with so much Aries energy, things come in short spurts.
Yeah.
Right. And so
that's really good.
That was the first part about the take the breaks, right? It's like you're going to get these zaps of energy, but then you're going to need to stop. Like Aries really needs to kind of continuously regroup.
Yeah.
But that'll shift this month, because as things start to move into Taurus, we start getting more. I mean, even with Venus at the beginning, we're going to have more of that tenacity available to us. But once the sun also then moves into Taurus, then there's going to be less need for that stop start. But the other thing we're going to have to really pay attention to is, do I need to take a break?
Exactly. Or will interrupting my flow help me think more clearly?
Yep.
So I don't know if that happens to you, but it does happen to me where I look at the room and I can see everything I want to do, but I can't see the priority of it. And if I don't kind of have some mechanism to straighten out my focus, I won't do anything, or I'll do something that's not a priority.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
So if I take a break at that time, that will help.
Right. Yes. And so it's a matter of just sort of checking in with yourself and seeing where you're at. What do you need? Aries and Taurus combined is an interesting energy because they pull you in different ways,
Right.
So just sort of see how that's affecting you personally. Yeah. I like it. And then the 23rd. So this is interesting. Venus meets Uranus, and this is at the end of Taurus. So it's like, so she's done in Taurus now. She's going to move into Gemini. And I was writing some of my newsletter stuff, and I said, it's almost like Venus comes and gives Uranus permission.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, thank you for being in my sign.
Yeah.
This is your going away party. I'll meet you on the other side.
Exactly.
And then she goes into Gemini just before Uranus does. And that's a fun energy. Venus and Gemini it's so much more social. It wants to communicate and talk, and it's flirty. There's a lot of humor with Venus and Gemini. So that we're lightening up, the energy starts to really lighten up by the end as we get into that. Hey.
And I felt it already. And it could be because it's 85 degrees in the south. and really sunny. But let's put that aside. There's a sense of things renewing, and I can feel that.
So yeah, so Venus is going to have a beautiful conversation with Uranus on April 23rd. And that can be fun too. With your Venus and Uranus can be super fun.
I feel like it's almost another check-in, right? Like here's the ruler of Taurus going, how'd you do? You know, and who knows what that ends up meaning. I don't have the myth for that.
And maybe a moment of what do you still need to clean up? What do you still need to Taurus? What do you need to Taurus before we move into a whole new energy?
What's your bucket list?
Yeah. I like that. Well, and so we should talk a little bit about this. What are we coming to an end to with Uranus moving out of Taurus? So I'm going to, we've had a lot of instability around land and countries trying to take other people's land, and, you know, all of these wars that are supposedly about territory and resources. That's completely the Taurus area, right? Yeah. What else?
And also, I have to say, people have been giving back land in this really remarkable way. In Washington State, I think it's the Klamath tribe got land with a dam on it. And now for the first time in over 100 years, there are salmon swimming in a healthy river, you know, reaching folks in a reservation, which I think is amazing. I know in the 70s, it was super scandalous, but people are getting land back almost every month, it looks like.
Well, and we have definitely seen, while Uranus has been in Taurus, a much bigger awareness of Indigenous issues. We are seeing way more television shows that feature Indigenous actors, Indigenous storylines. You see so many more references in general conversation about that issue that we didn't see before Uranus went through Taurus at all.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah.
I'm going to say that's probably one of the most positive things that's come out of that transit, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I would say it's right there with the wars. It's the same battle. What are we going to do with the land? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So the Gemini, you know, definitely is going to be, I mean, a lot of folks have talked about how these outer planets, and we've talked about it too, are creating significant change in this year that is substantially different from other years. And this is a substantial piece of that. And the potential of it is new ideas. And there's some notion that because it's represented by the Gemini, it's not the first time around. We are building on potentially the successes and course correcting what we've done before. And so what a remarkable thing. But at the same time, people may not feel it. It may just be a social vibe. There's a lot packed into that, the Uranus in Gemini.
What I found really interesting in the past few years with the political divide that we've seen is that from my vantage point, the loudest people, like I'm talking on an individual level, the loudest people holding on for dear life to the past are fixed.
Yeah.
Right. And they've gotten louder and held on tighter the longer Uranus has been in Taurus.
Well,
go. I was
just
going to say, so it'll be really interesting to see what kind of shift happens once that moves off. And that support from Uranus isn't there anymore.
And it's so interesting to talk about that because, you know, I was counseling folks with a lot of Taurus to be aware that their fixed ideas would be under attack. And that was just a function of the time versus somebody's going to find out you're wrong or somebody's going to find out you're right, because that's irrelevant. It is the nature of the Taurus to not want to be jumbled about. And that's all that Uranus has been doing. So it will also be interesting now that Taurus will get a break from that to see what it comes back to or comes back as, you know, after this wild time.
Right. Well, and the reality is Taurus specifically, if we're talking about the fixed signs, Taurus specifically makes change when it's not being pressured to make change.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, no. So it will be interesting to see once nobody's paying attention and that pressure eases off, to see how it turns out for sure. And the other thing I want to point out is so the outer planets, they don't just jump into a sign. Uranus has been doing
Oh,
this for a year, right? Pluto
yes.
did it for a year and a half before it
Well said.
changed. Neptune over a year. And so it if we're talking specifically about Uranus and Gemini, and we think about it in terms of the, AI coming to
Oh,
the fore,
yeah.
right? That's really how it came out. It sort of came out, went back in, and we've seen this sort of, I mean, it's fast in terms of looking over at history, but it
Mhm.
didn't just enter the scene overnight. And boom, we have
Exactly.
AI,
Exactly.
right? So we've had this sort of like adaptation phase for the past year. So what
And
happens once,
historically, go
what's
ahead.
that? I was just saying, so what happens when Uranus moves actually into Gemini? It'll be interesting to see what that looks like, what the AI picture looks like going forward.
I like that a lot. And the large language models, the different ways people have used AI has existed for as long as people have communicated through technology, computer wise. Like I remember ICQ, you could put messages, right? Or you could do a quiz bot or a chat bot or things like that. So those were all like the nascent versions of AI. And
Yeah.
so it is interesting because I've read, and I'm not good with AI, I'm not a good engager with AI, that some AI is too complimentary to people and
Oh,
creating like crazy ideas because you're never going to get pushback. You
right.
know, like I'm going to go grab my husband's wallet and put it through the food processor. That's a great idea. I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
that you came up with that. But
yeah.
I mean, it'll be interesting because in Gemini, it may not do that. I think of
Mm,
Gemini, I wanted to say this before, as I'm hoping is kind of the antidote of the Sagittarius soapbox, right? Like there's still this polarity that's really hard. And I think of Gemini as the funnier cousin, funnier, more charming brother, sister, cousin, relative of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is trying to be funny, but they really want to tell you about this thing that they love. They say that as a Sagittarius.
Well, here's what because Gemini always sort of has the potential to show us polarities, the two
Yeah,
sides,
true.
right?
Yes.
And right now we've been waffling about AI good or bad, right?
Right.
Like that's been the conversation for a year. And so now we're going to see that. We're going to actually see
Yes.
how where they fall into those two categories
Yeah.
and that there are two categories and maybe a bunch in the middle.
Yeah.
But it's going to become more obvious how they're being used and what we need
I
to be
think you're
paying
right.
attention to. I think that's probably the thing the clarity will gain when Uranus moves into Gemini for sure.
I
Yeah.
agree.
And at 0 degrees, we'll probably see some pretty interesting shenanigans because you know what 0 degrees is like.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
Uranus is already a brat. So
Yeah.
yeah. And Gemini's a brat. Like the whole thing, that whole lineup, Uranus at 0 degrees, Gemini, brat, triple brat.
I love that you say that because to me, I think, there's a 360 view we get to engage in that it's really hard for us to feel, right? That's
Mhm.
always there. And the 0 degrees really do that. And then the bratty part is that's not how we live all the time. We live in a really complex web. And so if somebody's going to start, 360ing, that's going to be a problem.
Well, and to me, brat is a very specific word, right? It describes
Yeah.
a very specific energy
Yes.
that's
I like it.
childlike and
Yeah.
is testing boundaries,
Yeah.
right?
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see a lot of that for that 0 degrees of Uranus and Gemini for sure. Um, in the meantime, Saturn is flying through Aries at
Oh,
Mach speed.
wow.
It's so
Yeah.
strange. Usually, when you're looking at the transits in Aries, Saturn is just plugging along and things are, by the time you look a week ahead, it's only moved a degree. Well, that's
Yeah.
not the case. In Aries, Saturn is moving extremely quickly. The
Yeah.
positive thing about that is the aspects aren't lasting very
Right.
long with it. But to have Saturn moving at Mach speed, I think that in itself can make people feel like they need to hurry up. You know?
I think I'm going to say it this way. There's an irritating urge to hurry up.
Yeah. Yes, 100%. Yeah, you said it exactly right. That's what it is for sure. So we have that. And then, so the 25th is the official date of Uranus finally moving into Gemini. And like I said, it'll be there for 7 years. And on that same day, the sun is square Pluto.
Whew. Interesting.
So that means the sun is in Taurus squaring Pluto in Aquarius. So there's something around our fixed ideas that we need to be looking at that will, there'll be some kind of conflict that makes us have to look at that. So it'll be interesting to see what the Uranus at 0 Gemini contributes to that combination of planetary energy. But it's a lot of air. It's a lot. Now we've got Pluto in air, and we'll have Uranus in air as well. So breathing, staying centered is we're going to be pretty zappy in our brains for a while. Yeah. Keep your hands busy. Yeah.
I've been encrusted stuff and embroidery stuff to try to keep me offline, but keep me hanging out with my husband while we're chit-chatting.
If you are doing anything with your hands, wear protection on your hands, because Uranus is going to be really hard on our hands for the next 7 years.
Wondering where my thimble was. Thank you.
Yeah. And I only say that because I have Uranus conjunct Mercury. And one of the things I realized this week is how hard I am on my hand. Like, I'm constantly whacking my hands on, like, I look like I beat people up sometimes because I'm so bruised on my hands. And it's just because I hit the counter and I hit the wall and I hit the door. And yes, so we're all going to get a little bit extra of that for the next 7 years. So it's something to pay attention to.
Yeehaw.
On the 28th, it's going to trine Pluto. So that's a beautiful. So when Venus makes a nice aspect with Pluto, it's like in acutonics, when you take, you want to help Pluto, you add Venus, because it takes the Venus teaching and the depth of Pluto and makes it with love, and it's more gentle, and it's, loving, learning from a place of love and self-love and value. Yeah. So that can be a really beautiful energy for people. The conflict that kicked up on the square on the 3rd, when it was in Taurus, there'll be some kind of resolution when the trine hits.
Nice.
On the 28th. So just if something happens for you earlier on in the month, that's when you might be able to fix anything that you feel needs to get patched. So that was something that I wanted to draw attention to. And then you wanted to talk about the last aspect of the month, the Venus square the nodes on the 29th.
Yeah, because I keep thinking about how these readings come back to what our internal values are and how we ascertain them. And so when things are square the nodes, they are a little bit ahead of their time, a little bit behind their time, a little mix and match. And so there's something to come back to. And pardon me, I have the calendar, not the chart, but the remedy is usually shown in what you turn to the right. And that's the Pisces. Yeah. So that's the North Node. Yeah. So you look to the North Node and Pisces, which is interesting because we're talking about, the bull in Aries, and it's saying go a little bit before then. So, it's just that sense of the Venus is giving us another opportunity to see if we can make actual course corrections and actually get what we want.
Yeah. And from a mundane picture, the first thing that popped into my head about it was that square to the nodes being a disruptor, because it can be a disruptor in a natal chart, right?
Yeah.
And so women being the disruptors.
Interesting.
I think that'll be really interesting to see how that plays out. Yeah. I think that could be quite beautiful. Now we have to give our messages, and we're going to start at Aries. We're not going to get creative, Lillian, with our start wherever you feel like it.
Fair enough. Let us begin.
You go first.
Okay. So I've got the Mandala Astrological Tarot, and it's 18 man's book. And the first card I got was, the major arcana, the number 6. When I look at his meanings, infatuation with appearances and devotion to choices of direction, are ways to avoid choosing a higher goal. It's like the focus on appearance. It could be a way to avoid higher goals. Vacillating between opposites diffuses effort. The opposite card, Temperance, ruled by Sagittarius, counsels a philosophical attitude. So that's for the lovers. And my experience of the lovers is choice, but it's that choice similar to Persephone losing herself to Pluto. You have to walk away from what your parents were giving you. You have to walk away from what you were grown up in to choose something different. And so there could be vacillation in that. And the fact that it's reversed, I usually think means it's not aligned yet. If it were aligned, you'd be making choices.
Right.
So that's for Aries, right? The lovers. It could be on the face of it, lovers.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
So I realized that, so I've never actually used this deck before.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Sacred Geometry Activations Oracle.
So gorgeous.
It's new to me. And I thought the heart of Aries season and to choose activation as the mode of message was so appropriate, So I was like, oh, I love it when the intuition is working like that.
Yeah.
So for Aries, I chose the card Allowance.
Nice.
So this card invites Aries to open to whatever comes their way, but without judgment, without opinion, without fear, and without resistance.
Interesting.
So if Aries lets themselves partner with the universe, it becomes a dance that mingles existence and expansion. So take the leap of faith. What did you get for Taurus?
So I got the moon reversed. So another major arcana. So let me find that here. Here we go. Reversed meanings. Dreams or drugs adversely affect our psychic and spiritual life. We must understand our inherent destructive impulses. Woo! Dissatisfaction and failure caused by deception or hidden enemies. The opposite card is the Hermit, and its sign Virgo, which signifies avoidance of emotional involvement. So let's unpack that just a hairball. We'll start with my 2 cents, which is the moon is feelings. And I've often seen it say, if it's reversed, you're ready to go hang out with people. If it's straight up, you need to take a break. Okay, so that's what I've heard it as. So for Taurus, that was the sense I got. But what this is saying is more along the lines of that Saturn, Neptune, last little bit of coffee in the pot. And it's saying, you need to use discretion and you need help to stay clear. So whatever your dopamine avoidance tactics are, if they're dreams or drugs, etc., pay attention to them. And not to be fooled by the sense of failure is the sense that I would get from that. Yeah, I'll stop talking now.
Nice. Well, and so this is going to make you laugh because we don't plan these things. We just draw cards,
Yeah.
So Taurus got transition.
Nice. Ooh, that's gorgeous.
So this card is saying that the frequency of transition supports the deepest understanding of change and existence, which we've just been talking about that pretty much the whole show.
The whole time, yeah.
And it's so that we can learn to let go, to surrender to the process, and to let transition happen with ease and grace. And the message is to be flexible and allow change.
Yeah.
And I didn't draw it on purpose, guys. It's just the universe repeating what we said.
It's so good. It's so good. I really enjoyed it.
All right, Gemini, your turn.
Okay. So Gemini gets the Queen of Wands. So we've moved out of the major arcana, but we've moved into energy. I think of Wands as energy or passion, or fire. And it's the Throne of Fire. And she's in her regular position, initiating energy and the power of self-assertion. The meaning is persistent energy, commanding pride, and passionate stubbornness. And I have, she's lively. Gemini's lively.
It's true. Well, I drew alchemy, and look how pretty that card
Oh,
is.
gorgeous.
Oh, I love that card.
You know what? I'm
So,
not showing the cards, but yeah, she is the Wand Queen is quite similar.
oh wow, hey, same colors and
Wow.
everything.
Yeah.
Neat. So, alchemy, the card activates our magical abilities and our
Mm.
remembering of the magic we hold inside. We all have the potential to access the ancient knowledge, and you're being called to activate this and allow the transformation that comes with it. So, less analysis and more gut feelings to guide them is what is being.
That's really
I love
cool.
it. I mean, the timing of that is so beautiful based on Uranus is just going to come in and like zap their brains. Gemini is going to get the
This
most
is the
amount.
one. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Gemini's gonna experience it the most. Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So the next one, Cancer, I get Wand King reversed. And that one is this card.
Beautiful.
And the reading for that one, yeah, he's the only one reversed in the wands. It is autocratic, arrogant, self-centered, unethical boasting. So let's just take a moment there. I wrote authority because that's the sense of the king in a water sign is a nourishing sensibility, a powerful sensibility. It is protective. And so while I acknowledge what he's saying here, autocratic, it could tend that way. What I saw was much more for Cancer. You're going to see where you're in charge and where you're not in charge. You'll get feedback for it.
Well, and I'll just add, because the
Mm.
thing that popped into my head immediately was Cancer is living with Jupiter in their sign, exalted.
Yeah.
So be careful, like be
Yes.
mindful of putting authority where you're not meant to put authority.
I appreciate that you said that.
Because the Jupiter's emboldening, right? And so maybe there are times when it's not the right move.
That's right.
Cool. And that's what the reversed thing says to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Well, and Cancer's getting some heavy hitters because for me, I drew the Merkaba.
Wow.
It's
I
gorgeous.
don't know how to pronounce it.
So the energy is available to you. The Merkaba energy is available to Cancer now to help shift awareness and see beyond your usual way of thinking.
Mm.
It opens the door to deeper insight and a sense of your bigger story by bringing your experiences together in a way that's useful to your growth. As we just spoke about Jupiter and Cancer.
Well, and what a lovely remedy almost, if you're feeling pent up. I mean, we've talked about feeling impatient. There's a lot of emotion going on all over the place. Right. And if you're being impacted by that, it's saying the extra energy that's coming that could make you autocratic or difficult is meant for blue sky strategizing.
Right.
As a cardinal sign, Cancer can use.
Yeah. And so to move forward with purpose, it's saying to look beyond your usual focus.
Nice.
And to incorporate looking both inward and outward. And to the outward part is to look at something bigger than oneself. As opposed to looking at, the humans.
Sure.
And also bigger than just our memories.
I love that.
That's important. And that's funny because that's what it said, and it didn't know it was for Cancer. So,
so
Cancer,
cool.
yeah, I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So Leo, what'd you get for Leo?
Oh, I got the 3 of Wands. So it's just regular energy, coming. And this one is not reversed. So the 3 of Wands meaning an ambitious and adventurous disposition leads to a tendency to experience ups and downs in both career and relationships. Fierce anger expressed regardless of the consequences. So it's saying that because it's saying there's this passion that's clarifying. And then I feel like he's saying he's adding a warning. I don't want to mess with what he said. What I wrote is partnership. And so I feel that there can be a difficulty of partnership, right? Because there's you, there's your partner, and then there's you two together. And there's a myriad of ways that can get loopy, especially in a time where Aries is telling us all to do whatever we want. I feel like it's saying there's a lot of energy coming. and that will create more ups and downs. And I feel like that's accurate and true. So I apologize to AT Man because I haven't done the work to say that stuff about his chart. Or how he interprets it. I'm just talking about it from my standpoint.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and the first thing that struck me when you said 3 of Wands is to me, the first thing that comes to mind with that card is always creative fire.
Yeah.
And now get this, for Leo, I drew the card that was that is throat chakra.
Beautiful.
And the message that comes with that is it's saying that you're being supportive when it comes to your own self-expression and also your sense of peace and balance. So that's interesting, given that you're going to get this. And astrologically, they're getting all of this fire energy from Aries. That's their, they get to benefit from that.
Yeah.
Right. So this is saying to find some balance in that and goes with what you said.
Yeah.
Spend some time with people who encourage you to be authentic and speak your truth.
Yeah.
Don't use your light to look good to others or fit in.
It's unnecessary.
That's right. You're perfect already. You don't need to show off.
And it doesn't matter. You could be 100% imperfect and we still love you. On to Virgo, Ace of Wands.
Ooh, nice. I'm a Virgo. I like that.
It's not reversed, it's straight up. So it says pure willed energy applied to conception, birth, or commencement or something of a commencement of something or initiating. And I feel that for Virgos.
I feel like you pulling that Ace of Wands, that fiery creativity, is telling Virgo to go there, go to that place that you have access to, but you don't tap into it very often.
So yeah, and I immediately get the image of coming out of that coming out of the Pisces, and the way the Mars and the Aries are clarifying and have direction.
Yes.
Increasing, and that this is a representation of that.
Love it. So I got for Virgo, and I actually laughed out loud, discernment. Because, we have a hard time with
Back
that.
to the roots.
So this card supports your ability to see the world and the people in it from a place of inner balance and detachment while still maintaining compassion and wisdom. Nice. This card is saying that the gift you have access to now is the ability to be discerning without judgment. That was the key, without judgment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And I love that because really, to me, this piece is the important piece to tap into before you get to have the Ace of Wands.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Energy is coming. You need to know how to use it.
Yeah.
And it's not on what you think. Yeah.
No. Beautiful. Libra. What'd you get for Libras?
So for Libras, I got the 5 of Cups. So for my own interpretation, I wrote down tension. 5 of Cups. The first thing I wanted to say about it is I thought it was dead clever. 5 of Cups.
I love that.
And it's showing balance. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting that a circle looks balanced no matter how you turn it.
And stable, because the 2 at the bottom are stabilizing it.
Legit. And it's always going to have 2 at the bottom. It's always going to have it. So what he said about that, and it's sideways, and he has like reversed or whatever. Oh my God. It's the need to change quite quickly is what it's saying. And I'm going to leave it there.
Well, because it leads really beautifully into the card I picked.
Okay.
Which is Miracle.
Oh my gosh. That's gorgeous. That's gorgeous.
This part is saying to Libra, you are being supported in connecting with the part of yourself directly coming from source.
Lovely.
Exploring your spiritual body, your spiritual self, can open your consciousness to understand the truth that anything is possible.
That's gorgeous.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. That'll be
I don't want to even add anything to that because it's so perfect.
I know, right? I know.
Yeah.
Okay. So Scorpio, I have Pentacle Queen. And then I think high school me wrote down the note because I wrote snooty. And she's reversed. Oh, trapped in responsibilities or materialism. He goes hard, y'all, on these reversed ones. what I know about the Pentacle Queen, I think about her as the solitary gardener. I think about her as somebody who knows and has created a beautiful world for herself. And so with it reversed, there can be an inclination of somebody being to you like, or of you feeling that same thing of I'm better than someone else, versus that experience where you're just in that world you created for yourself to accomplish the purpose that is meant to be created in that space.
And funny because so for Scorpio, I chose prosperity.
Nice. So pentacles for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So this card brings your attention to what prosperity actually feels like.
Okay.
Not what you think it is, and not just what you think it looks like, but what does it feel like to be prosperous? It's about letting in the things that support your well-being on every level, body, mind, heart, and spirit. And right now you're being invited to enjoy what's already here, to let it feel good, let me say that again, to let it feel good and to recognize that there's more than enough to go around.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think people forget that the Scorpio is with Taurus. It's about resources, right? The scarcity axis.
Opposite. Scarcity axis. Ooh.
Yes. So right now, I think that with everything in Aries, because they're both ruled by Mars, but Scorpio has such a hard time with Aries energy that they definitely can go to a poopy pants place.
Yeah.
Poor me, while everything's racing past them and they're like Taurus trying to hold on to the stability, right?
Yeah.
So this is saying, lean into gratitude, lean into being appreciative.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. Sagittarius.
Yeah. So Sagittarius, I have the 4 of Pentacles. So let me get to that. Okay. And it is reversed. In fact, the rest of them are reversed. The meaning is to apply a clear, practical method or methodical mind to serious problems. The reverse is, we were just talking about this, you tend to be too slow and steady, intolerant of invention, and overly serious. Excessive craftiness and cunning can be isolating and melancholic. So I think what it's saying is you're bristling with the energy that's coming to you. And the goal is to stay clear, which is going to come from other parts of the charts that we're working with.
Right. So for Sagittarius, I got compassion.
Ooh, I love that.
I mean, it's so poignant for Sagittarius because it's something that they need to remind themselves about, to slow down and remember to come from that place, right? So this card is asking you to lead with compassion, not conclusions.
Yeah.
You don't need to fix anything or have all the answers. You just need to stay open and meet people where they are. Right now, your strength is in holding space without judgment and letting that understanding move through you and out into the world.
Beautiful.
And interesting that Gemini on the other side got a very similar message. So it's like the whole axis got it, which is really cool. Really cool.
Yeah. That is really cool. I'll have to think about that more. And I've been thinking while we're talking, some of this feels very warlike, and we are in a warlike time.
Well, and the other thing, because you pulled everything reverse, or most things reverse.
Yeah.
And while we're in this very young Aries energy, to me, the message that you got for most people was you need to take time to go inward. Yeah, for sure.
And repeat attempts. You know what I mean? Don't think you're going to do a slam dunk.
Yeah.
You may have to do things over and over to achieve them.
Right. So, yeah.
Right.
So what'd you get for Capricorn?
Cups, three of cups. I'm so interested in diving more into this. So 3 of cups reverse. Well, let me say what the meaning is. An emotional change of mind discovered through contemplation results in a need for withdrawal. Straight up. Great tension at home creates emotional flare-ups and change in attitude towards loved ones. Okay. And then the emotional breakdown can be caused by resistance to confronting an important issue. That's very pointed.
Well, that's interesting because I drew healing.
I love that.
These cards are amazing. So we all have a built-in ability to restore our health and wholeness by paying attention, and using the information that comes to us through our senses. So this is about being present.
Yeah.
And then harmonizing all of it in the best way possible. Notice the signals coming in and take the best action for your well-being.
Yeah.
Great advice given the wild amount of energy coming from all the planets in Aries.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And I also made the note of teammates for Capricorn, that the Three of Cups is kind of, you're figuring out what's going on with your close buddies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Yeah.
And what did you get for Aquarius?
10 of Wands, which in the handle deck is oppression, but it's reversed. And what's fun about that is when it's reversed, it's the reducing of oppression. So let me see what he does with the reverse. The meaning of 10 of Wands: you may achieve goals through the power of positive thinking, visualization, and affirmation. A dual nature requires that both religious and material objectives be complete. Isn't that interesting? And then the reverse signifies, that there's a tendency to jump to irrational conclusions or make unrealistic decisions that are oppressive, but contain the seeds of change. And he's not offering a solution.
Interesting.
He's saying this stuff is mixed up, so take your time.
So Aquarius got the cosmic flower.
Wow, gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. It is beautiful. And so this card activates a remembrance of the place we call home.
Beautiful.
The core from which we pour our magnificence out into the world. So the pulling of the cosmic flower comes as an invitation to enjoy the sweetness of life, to lift up negativity, and to express love as fully as you dare.
Yeah.
And I love that, given that we've got Pluto in Aquarius. Like, that's the potential, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
And last but not least, what did you get for Pisces?
So for Pisces, I really thought this was quite lovely. And I actually had a really hard time not reading through this as a different monthly reading, because wow, we're working hard. So I got the High Priestess for Pisces, which feels like like after a conference, I kind of have a feeling of being a bird out of the nest trying to fledge. This is getting scooped up and put in like an incubator for a little bit, is my two thoughts. There's an inner consultant. But let's see what he says. The High Priestess is the High Priestess is the potentially uniting intelligence of subconscious memory, enlightenment brought to unconsciousness. The truth hides, and we may discover it only through intuition, divination, feminine wisdom, or revelation. The hidden truths are the mystical and wise feminine speaking through the Torah itself. Emotion matters, foresight, increase in fluctuation, forces of nature, artistic and psychic abilities. I feel like the last part was a menu of Pisces qualities.
I got the third eye.
Wow. That's awesome.
So apparently Pisces is really supposed to tap into its intuition. So the indigo flower of life supports your intuition, your inner knowing, your imagination, and your sensitivity to what you feel but can't always explain. Right now, you're being asked to strengthen that connection and trust it a little more. Notice the difference between what feels clear and steady and what comes from assumption or judgment.
Ooh, I love that. That reminds me. Go ahead, you.
I was just going to say, it made me think of, because we just assume that Pisces is working from their intuition.
Right.
But with Jupiter in Cancer, likely that's their ruler, and they have been in their emotions for this whole time. And really, probably, I would guess, if they're not actively working with their intuition right now, the two might be muddled, the feelings and the intuition. And so interesting that we both pulled cards saying, Pisces, it's time to get back into connection with your intuition and your guts.
And I would say like that High Priestess card, it's about the discipline of that. It's not about evading or hiding or finding like a clubhouse. It's about inhabiting your authority and allowing things to clear through. And I do agree with you. It's also saying stuff's going to show up and you're going to change your mind about it. So act accordingly, behave in a way that makes sense for that.
Yep. Yes.
Oh,
I like
so
it.
fun. So much fun.
Excellent. Well, that's it for this week. Thank you so much.
Great.
We'll see you
Yeah.
everybody next week.